The cold fluorescent lights of the internet cafe hummed as the two men in dark suits closed the distance. Clara backed up until her spine hit the brick wall. Her fingers clamped tightly around her phone, which held the digital invoice proving Evelyn's guilt. "Hand over the phone, Miss Montgomery," the larger man said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "And we can make this quick." "Stay back!" Clara shouted, looking desperately toward the cafe counter, but the young clerk was wearing headphones, completely oblivious to the danger in the back corner. The man reached out to grab her arm. Clara swung her purse, hitting him squarely in the face. He grunted, stumbling back, but the second man immediately stepped in, his iron grip locking onto her wrist. Clara cried out in pain as he twisted her arm, forcing her to drop the phone onto the dingy floor. Suddenly, the glass front door of the cafe shattered inward in a spectacular explosion of shards. Before the thugs could react, a tall, imposing figure stormed through the dust. It was Julian. His tailored coat was soaked with rain, his dark hair messy, and his gray eyes were burning with a primal, lethal fury. Julian didn't say a word. He closed the distance in 2 strides. He grabbed the man holding Clara by the collar and slammed him brutally against a metal pillar, knocking him unconscious instantly. The second thug lunged at Julian, but Julian sidestepped, threw a powerful, practiced right hook to the man's jaw, and sent him crashing into a row of computer monitors. Silence returned to the cafe, save for the sparks flying from the broken screens. Julian turned to Clara. The terrifying rage in his face vanished, replaced by an expression of pure, desperate relief. He stepped forward, his hands trembling as he cradled her face. "Clara, are you hurt? Tell me you're not hurt." Clara stared at him, her breath coming in ragged gasps. "Julian? How did you find me?" "I tracked your phone's cloud login," Julian whispered, his thumb gently wiping a drop of rain from her cheek. "Clara, I know the truth. It was Evelyn. She framed you. I am so sorry. I should have believed you from the second you said it." Clara looked into his stormy gray eyes and saw no walls, no ice, and no billionaire mask. There was only the man who had torn through London in the middle of a storm just to save her. "I found the proof, Julian," she whispered, pointing to her phone on the floor. "The hardware order. Evelyn's secretary signed it." Julian picked up the phone, his face hardening as he looked at the screen. "We're ending this tonight." An hour later, the grand conference room at Vance Global was illuminated by the midnight skyline. Arthur Sterling sat at the head of the table, flanked by his lawyers, looking exhausted and grim. Evelyn sat across from him, sipping tea, her expression smug and victorious. "Julian is late," Evelyn noted, looking at her gold watch. "We should call the police and have Clara arrested in her absence. There is no point in waiting." The heavy double doors of the boardroom swung open. Julian walked in, his presence radiating an undeniable, suffocating power. Right beside him, her head held high and wearing a dry coat Julian had given her, was Clara. Evelyn scoffed, standing up. "Julian, have you lost your mind? Bringing the thief right to us?" "The only thief in this room, Evelyn, is you," Julian said, his voice dropping to a dangerous, icy baritone. He threw Clara's phone onto the center of the table, alongside a massive file his security team had pulled from the basement servers. "That phone contains the purchase order for a high-frequency data transmitter, paid for by your department," Julian announced, his eyes locking onto Evelyn like a predator. "And that folder contains the basement security footage from last Tuesday. My team bypassed your encryption, Evelyn. We have you on camera entering the mainframe room 2 minutes before the leak occurred, using Clara's stolen login credentials." Evelyn's smug smile instantly vanished. Her face turned a sickly, pale white as Arthur Sterling grabbed the folder, his eyes widening as he looked at the clear surveillance photos. "Evelyn," Arthur breathed, his voice shaking with absolute fury. "You tried to destroy my company's stock just to force a hostile takeover? You framed an innocent girl?" "Arthur, listen to me. It's not what it looks like," Evelyn stammered, backing away toward the door. "Save it for the prosecutors, Evelyn," Julian interrupted, his voice cutting through her panic like steel. "My security team has already handed the files to Scotland Yard. Officers are waiting for you in the lobby downstairs." 2 security guards entered the room, escorting a weeping, ruined Evelyn out of the boardroom. Arthur Sterling stood up, looking at Julian and Clara with deep remorse. "Julian, Clara, I don't know what to say. I almost ruined our lives because of my blindness. Can you ever forgive an old man?" Julian looked at Clara, a soft smile touching his lips. "The merger is still on, Arthur, but right now, I have more important matters to attend to." Julian took Clara's hand and led her out of the boardroom, down the private elevator, and back up to the quiet sanctuary of his penthouse. The storm outside had finally cleared, leaving the London skyline sparkling in the night. They stood in the center of the living room. Clara looked down at her bare left hand. The contract was fulfilled. Evelyn was caught. Her mother was safe. The business was done. "Well," Clara said softly, her voice filled with a bittersweet ache, "I guess this means the game is over. You got your merger. My mother is taken care of. We don't need to pretend anymore." She turned to walk toward the guest bedroom to pack her things, but Julian gripped her wrist. He didn't pull her violently this time. He moved slowly, stepping into her space, his breathing shallow. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the 5-carat emerald-cut diamond ring. "The contract is over, Clara," Julian whispered, his gray eyes burning with a raw, undeniable emotion. "But I don't want a contract anymore. I don't want a fake engagement. And I never want you to walk out of that door again." Clara's breath hitched. "Julian, what are you saying?" Julian took her left hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. "I'm saying I love you, Clara. I'm saying the walls are gone, and I am completely at your mercy. Will you stay? Not for the money, not for the press, but for me?" Clara looked at the ring, then up at the billionaire who had finally learned how to feel. A tear of pure happiness slipped down her cheek as a beautiful smile broke across her face. "Yes, Julian," she whispered. "No more contracts." Julian smiled, a genuine, breathtaking smile, and pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a passion that was no longer a performance, but the absolute, undeniable truth.